Thank you everybody for joining us today. I know we've got a few new members of the team that are actually on this call, I think since we've had our last regional call. So if I remember right, Tracy, we're rolling this out obviously primarily across Louisiana, but obviously, you know, the Saints Kingdom bleeds over into Mississippi as well. So I think we've got most of the Mississippi stations on here, and then we've also got Memphis on here. And it looks like, yeah, so I'll just walk through everybody that's on the call. First I see is AD. AD is the Regional Digital Sales Manager for the Tim Ingram region. And his station that is on here is Memphis, which is WMC. AD, you want to introduce your Memphis DSM?
Sure. Hey guys, we have Jackie Hood on the call, albeit her. Oh, there's her camera. Hey Jackie, how are you?
Oh yeah,
I'm here.
We all know we all know Jackie. She used to be in our region, and she jumped ship for us for AD. I think she heard that he has a better sense of humor or something.
Oh, she's way better off now. She traded up for sure. We also have Joe. Looks like. Hello, Joe is on mute. Hey Joe.
Okay. Joe Jub WNC. Okay, I see him.
Yep.
Hey y'all.
Hey, there he is.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
And then obviously we've got Tracy on here. So Tracy is the DSM in New Orleans at Fox 8. And so she will be running through the presentation here today. And then I've got Chris Dean, who is our newest addition to our team. He is the new DSM at KSLA.
Okay.
You on there, Chris?
Yep. Hello.
All right. And then, yeah, we already covered Jackie. Then I've got Tyler. Tyler, I don't see last name.
Smith, WTOK.
Oh, hey, Tyler, how are you?
How you doing, man?
Good. All right. I guess you're covering for WTOK. And
yeah,
then,
Jackie and Jim are going to be trying to make it. I know they had something right about now. They're trying to finish up. They asked me to sit in on their behalf.
cool. Well, I saw him forward the invite. I didn't know who it got sent to. So awesome. And then I see Andy's on the call as well.
Good afternoon.
Andy is
Yeah,
Lake Charles, right? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Who is the 337?
There's two Andys. That's okay.
Who's the 337 number?
That's mine. I don't know why it's doing that because I'm on the phone.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then we've got Alexa Chance, who is the DSM at KNOE. All right. And quick. I got off somewhere. I've got Frankie on here, who is the DSM at Hattiesburg, WDAM. So she took over for Jackie. And we already introduced Joe. I see Kelly is on here. Kelly is the DSM in Baton Rouge at
Kelly and I work together a lot.
Yep. And then I see Andy Jacobson. We already introduced him, right? Did I leave anybody out?
My GSM is on the call, Andy Delaporte.
Hello.
The guy with the window behind him.
Hey.
Porthole.
Yeah, he's got the porthole. We're literally right next door to each other, but he's got the window.
I got a window.
He's got a window. I have a B.
That's funny. All right. Well, I will kick it back to you, Tracy, since you know the product, and
Sure.
Let me know if I can jump in on anything.
Okay. So guys, the reason we wanted to do this call was to kind of walk through the presentation. So not presenting it to you, but just kind of walking through it so you have a thorough understanding of what's in the deck, answer any questions you have about it, answer any questions you have about inventory and promotion, things like that. So the deck is very simple to present. The app itself, let me back up. The app itself, if you have the app downloaded and you take the app with you as you're presenting, this really sells itself. The app is full of information from people who truly know the Saints. They cover them year round. They know the players very well. They know the coaches very well. They know the ownership very well. They are able to provide insights that can only come from being almost embedded with that team year round and being with them and understanding why they're making changes. I'm always amazed at some of the things that I see them say that I never would have thought about. And it's just because they have so much insight into the team that it's amazing. So the way that the app is set up is it's very visually appealing, but it truly is designed. If you're in front of a Saints fan and they start to look at that information, they're going to want to buy it. So make sure that you've got it downloaded and available when you do it. So this slide really is about the hype. It's honestly about the hype. It's how many of us watch the off season. Are you guys Saints fans? I'm going to assume, are you Saints fans? Yeah, no, Ryan, you don't count. You're not in our area. But
Feel free to leave the call if you're not.
If you look at the Saints fandom, there's never a point in time where we're not following them. Even in the off season, we're following who got traded. We're following what they're doing in the community. There is never a time where we're not looking for information and we're not interested in information about it. So the Final Play app gives the sponsor the ability to be able to have their advertising next to exclusive content that is only available to those sponsors. It is also very highly rated. It's more highly rated in the Apple App Store than the Saints app itself, than the NFL app and the Bleacher Report. And the reason I chose those three is if you think about the apps that people are going to know nationwide, if you're a Saints fan, you probably have the Saints app downloaded. You may go to the NFL site or have the NFL app downloaded. But if you're a diehard sports fan, you probably have Bleacher or ESPN or one of those apps loaded on your phone. So to be able to say, these guys cover sports 24/7 and they've got good ratings, but we cover the Saints 24/7 and our app is more highly rated and has better reviews than those apps, really puts you in a position to be able to say the content matters and you're going to be adjacent to great content. So how do we promote this and helping folks to understand why to download it, why they should download it, what we've done previously, and what we'll do this year in some form is to do a contest during the time frame that we have the preseason games, because we own that network and we know that we'll be able to hit the entire region with that contest. We'll put in something during those 4 preseason games that encourages folks to download the app, to be able to enter a contest, to be able to win something. It may be the getaway or it may be something different. But we will do this to encourage downloads in your area so that you can rest assured that we're not just focused on New Orleans. We're truly pushing this out as a regional app.
Tracy, I heard a rumor you're cooking that meal. Is that true?
I'm cooking them. I cook really well, though.
I know.
I really do. It could be gumbo. You know, we could do that. Jackson sold it last year. Just for those of you who are on the call, Jackson sold it locally last year to Pearl River Resort, who was very, very, very happy with their results. My understanding, I think Ted said they didn't provide conversions to them on people who downloaded their app, but they had really high engagement for the client. And one of the things that they said they appreciated was that we made adjustments in delivery and we made adjustments in things that we were doing to improve the regional execution of the app. So when we started off the app, there were things that were happening, like if you clicked on a notification, it opened in mobile web versus the app. So now it's always going to open in the app. We our sports teams were really the only ones who were putting in content. But if your sports team does something that's Saints related, we'll put it in the app, and we can send out notifications for it to ensure that you're getting content in your area. So there are things that, and this is a collaborative effort. When Tim created this app, the head came up with the idea of doing this app, it was really for it to be a regional collaborative effort in being able to put out Saints content. And so how did it work overall? We saw massive increases in consumption last year. We saw a 55% increase in users, 185% increase in visits, and a 37% increase in screen views. I don't care who you are, that's phenomenal. I've never seen an app have, 185% year-over-year growth. And this wasn't the first year of the app. I could understand, it would not have astounded me if it were the first year, because first year of the app, you're just spiking in growth. But this is year 3 or 4 of the app. And so to have that type of growth lets you know that the app is starting to mature and people are starting to understand just how valuable that content is. So you can rest assured that in your area, your clients are going to actually see page views. So we call it gold-blooded, and this is always a fun slide to sell, a fun slide to show, because you're showing that there's lots and lots and lots of growth because Saints fans are gold-blooded. They visit the app about 14 times a month. If you look at this in comparison to the apps that you probably have, your news app or your weather app, it's pretty comparable to the number of times that people actually visit our apps, because it's news style content, but it's a fanatical following that they want to know everything that's going on. And we're pushing out notifications several times a day to get folks into the app. So how will you reach these engaged fans? Now, before I move on to the placements, I will say one of the things that you're going to see me cover is the digital placement. But one of the things that we are encouraging that you do is to sell this as a cross-platform sale, on a cross-device sale. Every screen you have, utilize it to do promotions, not only for the client, but to encourage downloads and to increase the user base in your area. Run promos and tag them on air, online, on social, wherever you can, so that client gets additional value over and above the ads that they're going to have inside the app. But the inside of, because this is the actual deck that you're going to present, that's why this looks like this. So for the advertiser, what happens when you open the screen is you get a peekaboo ad at the very bottom. So you see 2 pieces of content, and then the client's ad starts to peak at the bottom. As you scroll and you get into the full home screen scroll view, the ad appears fully, allowing the client's message to be able to be seen. And then of course, once you click into a story, the ad is sticky at the bottom. So the client's message is consistent as they're going through story views. So those are the ad units. There is an ad and an interstitial that we can employ on Wake for the zip codes in your DMA. If that's something that you want, you have to let us know so that we can make sure that that's put into DFP as a part of the IO. We're recommending you sell this as an exclusive. The way that it's broken down is that you guys receive a 60% share of your viewing area. 30% is right now reserved for New Orleans to push out messages and things of that nature. We encourage you, and this is, again, guys, this is a base, change it however you want. Put in it whatever you think makes sense for your area. Your logo's included on sponsored promotions. If you do 2010s or 1515s, obviously you're going to change that. Co-branded Facebook and Instagram. Can you do something personalized? If you're selling a grocery store that says that your potato chips are for the game today are brought to you by the Final Play, do whatever you need to do. Tag the sponsor, make sure that you're talking to the sponsor about that digital handshake that allows folks to be able to engage with them on social. They get the promotional banners, and then you get the ability to be able to own the swim lane for OTT for the Saints OTT channel. This is the base that we recommend. Change it again, however it makes sense for your station. Any questions so far on what you get? Y'all are so quiet, it's Wednesday. I know it's quiet. It's Wednesday.
Don't forget you're muted if you have questions.
Either I reviewed it really well or I bored you to tears. I don't know which one it is so far. So then we go into the bits and, you know, the individual ads and things that they might be unaware of. Why would we use Facebook and Instagram using that digital handshake, the benefits of using a digital handshake, what the ad units will look like. Again, encourage you to personalize this for what you do locally. If I know Andy is working with the GSMs on promos and on things of that nature for preseason. If your folks need any of the elements, or if we need to send you anything for you to be able to do a better job of promoting the ad, let us know, or the app, let us know, and we'll make sure that we get that to you. The way that we have it listed here is a video ad with a logo tag. If you need something different or want to do something different, that's absolutely up to your station. And then the really cool thing is the OTT swim lane, provided you guys have the space to be able to do it, is we encourage you to have a swim lane on your OTT app dedicated to Saints coverage, that we can make sure that we get assigned up-to-date Saints coverage in your local area. And so it would be Saints video presented by the sponsor, where you see in this area where it says presented by the Final Play app, take that out and put the sponsor's name versus the Final Play app. So they would actually be the sponsor of the video lane for Saints content in your local area. And then this is your signature page.
Hey, Tracy, did we run that one by legal, how that's titled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brent did last year.
Just making sure. Typically,
Yeah.
There were some changes on that in the last year in terms of when we have an on-air sponsor, they really don't like to say presented by, they like it to be sponsored. So we might rerun that by legal.
They may, that, you know, Brent did this one, so I'll double check with him. If we need to change that, we can change
It's
that. real
easy.
quick.
Yeah, it's an easy fix.
That's an easy
but-
fix, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know Brent sent it through legal, but you're right, things change all the time. So it's highly possible it needs to say sponsored by versus presented by.
Yeah.
So that's the deck that you would take out. Change it again. This is the basic deck that we'll send out to you guys for you to change however it makes sense to fit your station. We're not telling you how much to charge for it. All we're asking is that you promote it substantially in your area to ensure that your client sees value from their sponsorship. You know, we want people to renew every year. So Andy, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think that's the biggest element right there. You know, we just ask that you guys promote this best you can. And we're really in the next 2 months or so, or that window where we traditionally will see that spike in downloads and users. And then we all benefit from that down the road, especially you guys, if you're selling this in your market, you want to promote it. So you get a bigger share of the overall impressions that you can sell into your market. So it's kind of mutually beneficial. That's how, you know, that's our goal, is to get as many people using this as possible. And, you know, the great thing for you guys is here in New Orleans, we're taking all the cost on the app. We have it built out. We'll get it produced for you. It's just something that you guys can sell in return for some promotion.
One of the things that I will say, one of the slides we don't have in here, because it makes more sense for our market, is a photo of our sports team. We have 6 sportscasters dedicated to providing content. And most of them you guys will not know, but everybody will probably be familiar with Deuce McAllister. And Deuce is one of the faces on that sports team. If you think it would be helpful to have that as a part of the deck, let us know. And you know, that could be part of your sizzle if you need it to be part of the sizzle. And guys, this is a sizzle sale. It is all about creating, especially year one, opportunity in and around the app, not just inside of the app. It's about the total promotion.
Tracy, I assume this is just a flat fee sponsorship. Is that how you guys sold that?
Yeah, that's how we sell it, because it's a share of voice inside the app. So we put it in as SOV flat, you know, with a cost per day versus a CPM.
Thank you.
Um,
And Tracy,
Yeah.
did you bill that monthly then?
Yeah, we bill it. Well, okay.
And is it 12 months or is it 9 months out of the year?
We have 2 different kinds of sponsors. We ask for an amount, an annual amount. That doesn't mean that we bill it the same every month, because some of our, you know, one of our sponsors has more business during Saint season than they have outside of Saint season. So if we're asking, you know, for 60, 80, or $100,000, we need to kind of manipulate that to work with their ROI by month. And we're perfectly open to doing that.
Yeah.
We're looking at an annual amount. We're not looking at a monthly amount.
Yeah. So we did get a question in the chat from Kyle at KALB. And he said, do we have a market breakdown for total impressions? You know, obviously they get the 60%.
Yeah.
So Kyle, we may be able to get those numbers. I think going back to Tracy's comment, like you want to be careful not to just sell the impression bases within the app. Because really the opportunity is the sizzle of the app. And especially if you haven't promoted this in your market, right?
Exactly.
Then there's not really going to be any impressions to be able to show when you're going out there and selling it. And the promotional exposure around it is really the value with it. So both the on-air and online components of pushing that app out, I think is where your advertiser is going to see the most benefit, especially in year one. So.
I encourage you to go heavy on social in the co-branded posts. That social handshake is gold for advertisers, especially if you're creative. I also encourage you to do local contests that are Saints related, because people love it. And those types of things allow the advertiser to have value as a sponsor that have nothing to do with the number of impressions that they get in the app. Because this is truly the first year or so, until you promote it and see downloads, you're not going to see a substantial number of impressions, but that doesn't mean that there's not value. And again, price this according to what it is that you need to sell it.
Do you by chance off the cuff have like first year numbers, what has been expected or seen in other markets?
You know, I don't know what, I'm not quite sure what Jackson did year one. Kaisi, and don't we have a new DSM in Jackson? So he probably does.
Yeah, and he couldn't be on the call. It's Patrick Bell.
I'm talking with Patrick. I can't see Jackson's DFP numbers, so I can't tell you what actually served.
Okay.
I can tell you part of that spike you saw in users was from Jackson.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a neighboring DMA, so really high adoption numbers in Jackson.
And they
but I think
promoted it well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think most of the markets on this call today, you know, if you promote it heavily, you know, especially during season, that's where you're going to see this kind of start to spike up too. So,
Correct.
Yeah. Cool.
So, you know, if you want my advice is price it out based on, you know, a minimum number of impressions that they're going to receive, and watch watch where those impressions are showing and move things around depending upon what it is that you need to make that impression amount. All the impressions don't have to be on the Final Play app. You know, some of it can be on your news apps, it can be on your websites, it can be wherever you want them to be. Just organize this to give yourself the freedom to watch what's happening with the audience and to move your core impressions around to meet that advertiser's need as they grow with the app. And for most of you guys, because it will be your first year selling it or closing it, it's the growth year. It's the year that, you know, they're going to probably see most of their engagement off app, but they're being branded with the Saints. And it's one of the most fanatical it's the most fanatical fan base in the NFL, one of the most social fan bases in the NFL, and it's really good content.
Hey, Tracy, do you guys also have a sports app for Fox 8? And if so, this is the only one you have. We have a sports app here at KPLC, and I'm just wondering, you know, I know we run promos for people to download our sports app.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have?
That would be a question, you know, with Deanna, how she would want to handle that. This would just give you an opportunity to have a second sports app that was exclusively Saints content.
Yeah.
You know.
Perfect.
Good question.
You guys have a ballpark in what, you know, some of the other markets have started their pricing on? What Jackson price there is at?
Jackson was 30 or 40,000, Andy, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, 30 sounds right.
30 was like about $30,000 is what they did it for. Now, you know, obviously we're the largest market, so ours is substantially higher, but we also, you know, we do multiple sponsors.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it would make most sense for the advertiser too to kind of break that down on a monthly basis. Chris, it's a great question.
Yeah.
You know, the football season, when you count preseason and everything, you're looking at roughly about 9 months. So that's probably how I would think about breaking that down. Also, you know, kind of my rule of thumb when I was putting together promotional packages like this, where they're co-branded with our station, is you show the full value of the promotional exposure that they're getting. But then typically you only, you know, you charge them somewhere in that 25 to 50% range, because obviously, you know, we're promoting the brand for ourselves, but then we're tagging their business in it. So maybe that can kind of help you to formulate, you know, how much promotional exposure they're getting versus how much you're going to charge them. Andy, is there anything you would add to that on your rule of thumb for those sponsorships?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
One of the ways you can position it, one of the ways that we've done it successfully is to tell the story. To Ryan's point, about 3 months of the year is a little lower. Doesn't mean that we don't have traffic to the app, but it's a lower, the lowest traffic points are just before the, you know, right between the draft and when we start training camp. So the Saints normally start their rookie training camp would have been in May. So they would have really started we would have started to see content building up in June, and then absolutely in July when they started training camp in earnest. And then you start to see explosive content starting in that preseason, especially as they're making decisions on who gets to stay on the team and who doesn't. Then you have the entirety of football season, including the postseason. Once the postseason has completed, then it's whose contract is going to be renewed. This is probably Drew Brees' last year. What does that look like once the season is over? So
we'll be covering the Super Bowl on this one, right, Tracy?
Yeah. if the Saints are in it, we'll be covering the Super Bowl. When the Saints get in it, we'll be covering the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But then once we bring home that trophy and that ring, if Drew decides to retire, then what? Because you've got Jameis Winston and you've got Hill. So how is that going to shake out? What are the Saints going to do? There's a lot of folks that are up for their renewals that were rookies that are coming off of their rookie contracts. And so that's the type of content that if you're having conversations about the team and about, being a fan and what it means to them as a fan, that's what gets them engaged. It's really not about the numbers of impressions. It's about being associated with that content and how we're going to make that associated content work.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's the biggest point there, is that these are people who are, right, they're finding this content because they're interested in it. It's active usage. It's not passive. So, you're going to a certain extent, your client's going to benefit from that fanaticism that the Saints fans have here in the Gulf South. And, all the studies show that there's a good association between people who are avid fans of their sports teams tend to patronize those that sponsor their sports teams because they are so passionate about it. And I think we all know that when it comes to passion, the Saints fans are, tops in the NFL. So it's kind of that association and the ability to get in on a more intrusive message with content that the user's seeking, and that direct association or indirect association with the team is gonna show good results. And I think that's why it's been successful for things that we've done, and why Jackson had good success with it as well.
So I'm going to go technical on you guys for just a second and give you the success story that we've got. Chip Forstall is a local sponsor of the Saints app. And we were looking in analytics, at his goals and his goal conversion rates and things of that nature. His highest goal conversion rate and assisted goal conversion rate came from the Final Play app users. We're running YouTube, we're running social, we're running all kinds of stuff for this man. The best conversion rate for the goals on his in his analytics come from our core products and come from this, because it's a dedicated user. You're getting frequency with that user, and so that his message is being seen and it's being ingested.
Yeah,
so
that's good. Also, to help you kind of close it this first year is say, hey, if this is something you're thinking about, pull the trigger now. We'll give you first right of refusal on that renewal. I wouldn't guarantee them that the pricing will look the same, because I think the user numbers will increase in year 2. So I think minimum you could probably bump it, 10, 15%.
yeah.
But say, hey, we're going to give you that first opportunity if you commit to this now. That can be a really good closing tool to get them to pull that trigger, rather than just hanging around and waiting till you get into preseason and you're waiting for it. If you're looking for something else to package this with too, if you want to get the value of it up a little bit more, most of our markets that are on the call today launched the Premion July 27th or 8th. I'm drawing a blank. I think it's July 28th. But we have that sports package on there. So you could include, part of the package is you get $2,000 worth of sports targeting through Premion's network to help get that value up. And then maybe you charge, another $2,500 for the app sponsorship itself. And all of a sudden, instead of having a $30,000 sponsorship, you've got a $54,000 sponsorship to where they're getting more exposure and you're getting more revenue as a station.
Yep. So that's it in a nutshell.
We will get a copy of the deck or recording. Okay.
Yes.
One quick question for you in terms of content. In the thick of the season, how frequently is that content being put forward? I think you mentioned something about that earlier on, but I didn't.
Multiple times per day.
Multiple times per day. Okay.
Yeah, when they are, one of the things that's not in here is we also do a podcast. Off season, they'll do it maybe once a week. During the season, they're doing a podcast every other day, at least every other day. Everybody on the team is pushing out content every day because there's just so much going on. They're putting out 1 to 2 pieces of content in that app every day. Sometimes more than that. It just depends on what's going on. If it's a day where things are exploding, all 6 of them have things going on. Some days it may be 2.
somebody gets injured, they got to put out 2 stories about that kind of thing.
They're going to put down a story. They're going to put out an update. They're going to put out an update on the change to the roster as a result of it. They're going to talk with the players about how they feel about it. They're going to talk about it on the podcast and what it means. Deuce is going to talk about it on air with us, and we'll use as much of it as we can in the app. You know, the things that we're allowed to use. You know, we do have some restrictions, which is why this content is really good, because it's content that it's local, just like our news, we own it. And so it's high quality content.
All right, thanks.
And if you need something pushed out that your folks do, we can do that too.
Is that just an issue of sending the content and you guys put it up? Is that how it works? Okay.
Yep. Your content
On the,
folks would work with Brent Leday. Brent Leday would get it in the app and pushed out.
On the 60% share of voice, the other 40%, explain a little bit more about where that's going so we can make sure we're clear with our clients on that.
That's New Orleans. It'll
New
just
Orleans.
be New Orleans advertisers. Yeah. And a lot of that is just, that helps us pay for the app. If we don't sell it, I mean, as you guys know, we have Backfill, national partnerships with Backfill. So, you know, what we don't have sold, we'll still receive revenue for it, because you guys don't pay for the app. We pay for it. So it allows us to actually pay for the app. And if you need to know who we've got sold, so you can make sure that it's not a conflict, let us know. And right now we've got a PI attorney that's in there right now.
That's good to know. And the advertisers, or I'm sorry, the geos are set by DMA, right?
Correct.
In
They're
terms
set by
of
Zips and DMA.
how
through
Google
DFP.
looks at that. Do keep in mind with that sometimes, you know, especially, I mean, I know our markets are all right on top of each other down in Louisiana. Do keep in mind that although, you know, they're as precise as Google thinks they can, sometimes those lines get a little bit blurred. So you may have some feed over, especially in some of those parameter markets. So
Yeah, we do our best to use Zips, because we can be fairly precise with DMA with Zip. And Jackson's not that close, but you know, it worked pretty well last year. Brad Whitfield's really good about making sure everything works well for us.
cool. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. Thanks so much, Tracy, for putting this together. In closing, I thought it would be good to break out my my shirt that I have here. So we do have the world champion Kansas City Chiefs that I'm.
And you have the best Chiefs player on your team. And who would that be? And where is he from?
Well, you know, we'll
that would be Tyrann Mathieu, and he's from New Orleans, and he went to St. Aug. That's all I got to say. There's always a New Orleans connection. That's all. I was really happy for him. Really.
I'm just happy that we've got a quarterback. If he can stay healthy for the next decade, we'll be sitting pretty good. So
that was a good game. I was rooting for him. Rooting for my Purple
all the
Knights
luck
to get
in a
his
repeat.
Maybe we can have
Ryan, I'm going to send the deck to you so that you can send it out to everybody.
Okay, perfect.
Because I think you probably have everybody's, you have us as a group. If you would just copy Andy and Sonia Landry, who's our media planner. Guys, our media planner wasn't able to be on the call, but if there's any information that you need, or if you need some modifications or anything that's a part of that planning process, just let us know and she'll be on there. We'll help you get that.
Cool.
Good.
All right. Cool. Thanks everybody so much for joining us on the call today. If you have any questions, just shoot them back to me and or Tracy, and we'll get those addressed for you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Oh,
Thanks.
thank you guys.
See you guys.
Totally enjoyed it.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.